Bada bing, bada boo.
It starts off as an email chain of hockey players in the United States and in Canada, and they are just emailing each other back and forth, sharing their wildest wins. I don't even think many of these hockey players have even met each other or played a game against each other. Everyone's just adding their teammates into this massive thread. This email chain at this point feels more like an urban legend, but apparently it's very real. And apparently it gets so big that a few of the players decide, I'm just gonna make a website for it. And here is like a new general rule of thumb. When you open up a website and the first thing you read on there is just ominously, take this wisdom wisely, boys. And then a disclaimer. Hey, if you can't take a fucking joke, then go find yourself on the Disney Channel. Warning, disclaimer, the content is not safe for work, school, your girlfriend, or your mother. This is the Junior Hockey Bible. It reads like a dictionary. It just has words and then the definitions for them. And mostly they're hockey related. So I thought this is like a hockey terminology book. Duster. This term refers to those unfortunate souls who usually only step on the ice with 14 seconds to go in the game. That's it. Why the term duster? Because this fucking plug has been sitting on the bench the entire game collecting dust. Always the worst player on the team. Band-Aid. A player who is always hurt. Every game he gets a new injury and he is pretty much the joke of the team. A mess. Usually quits hockey and goes home to work with his dad cleaning out shitters. Bobby Big Wheel. This is the guy on the team who thinks he's God's gift to women, but really he's a fucking joke. He's not really going anywhere in life or in hockey. Then they have terms of how people play hockey. Taking one for the team. Being a team player can refer to when your friend has sealed the deal with a girl at a bar after a game, and they're gonna go back to her place. But unfortunately, your teammate has forgotten her name due to the 13 beers that he has consumed. You then step up and ask the girl what is her name so loudly that it will sink into your friend's head. You then repeat her name as many times as possible so that he won't forget it. Example, Rachel. That is a lovely name, Rachel. I once knew a girl named Rachel. Trooper. One of the most important elements to a hockey team. A trooper is that one guy. You can always count on this guy. You call him any time of day, he's gonna go out drinking with you. It doesn't matter if he's got 4 final exams the next day. The trooper is usually one of the most popular guys on the team, but also the dumbest. But then it starts getting very strange, the Junior Hockey Bible, because it starts listing off things that have nothing to do with hockey. The swamp donkey. Have you ever heard of a swamp donkey? This species lurks in the depths of the bar scene across the nations. Telltale signs of a swamp donkey are many and varied, including the wearing of granny underwear, tight shirts exposing their fat, disgusting sloth bodies, and a face that looks like a rotten bee's nest. Swampers must be avoided before the consumption of at least 13 beers, and after that, proceed with caution and only poke her if you can degrade her in some way in front of the boys, preferably on a video. Sea donkey. A sea donkey is a close relative of the swamp donkey, but has several subtle differences. Sea donkeys can be found at keg parties where they are highly intoxicated and not very attractive. These beasts are of the sea or masters at boozing, and once intoxicated, they are looking to get some hockey dick. They enjoy being told that they are fat while you are doing their fat asses, so don't be afraid to say it. Only approach after 25 beers and after all other options have failed, including the R-worded girl with no legs named Bobby No Legs.
Wait, these are on the website?
That has now since been taken down. But this is the Junior Hockey Bible, and it's very interesting because at first people thought it was an urban legend, but people were saying, you go to a junior hockey game, you're gonna hear these terms from the hockey players.
So you're saying this is like a somewhat big website for the community?
Yes. And people know these terms.
I see.
They use these terms, especially in this case. Then you have a war pig, one of the most endangered species on Earth. This species lives in the trenches of the bar scene, and they aren't afraid to get their noses dirty. They will stop at nothing to get what they want. They are ruthless, disgusting, filthy pigs who will beat up your girlfriend to bang you. No man is proud after banging a war pig. But one great thing is these animals love it in their butt. They will take it like a champ. Enjoy these pigs, but keep them to yourself. If you find a war pig, please report to the CHL so authorities may shoot this beast and put them in a cage forever. Next definition, slop tart. These are the lowest form of sluts. sloths. They thrive in a world of disgusting low-level junior rinks. They often possess nasty teeth and Coke bottle glasses. These creatures are by far the scariest animals in any league. There is no reason to ever communicate with these disgusting animals, which is different from a sloth. A sloth is a cave dweller. They wear a lot of makeup to give the sloth-like appearance. They can grow to be as big as 700 pounds, but interestingly enough, these gentle creatures never get taller than 4 feet high. This unbalanced body is what shapes them into the slothy sloth that they are. They are not capable of banging, but can give decent gummers. Sloths are like scooters. They are fun to ride until the boys see you on one. The website is really bad. They also have different tips on how to avoid different types of sluts at the bars that are swamp dwellers, sea dwellers, whatever derogatory term that you want to put on women. They say that one thing that you have to do is put a picture of a very hot girl in your wallet so that once you've had many beers and you're talking to this girl and you think that she's hot and you think that she's not a sea dweller, you pull out your wallet and you reference the hot girl pic and you compare. And if they're comparable, then you can go home with the sea dweller. It's getting weird to the point where people are saying, are we sure that this is like a junior hockey Bible, or are we talking about a guidebook to degrading women, or potentially even essay? These are the terms in question that I think ultimately gets the website taken down. Cinema. This is the honorable act of letting your friends watch you bang a dirty. Cinemas are only filmed by hockey boys, as everyone else in the world finds this disgusting. Some girls don't mind being watched, but others will flip out if you accidentally roll out of the closet laughing because your buddy is saying funny shit as he's banging the bitch. If busted, the actor, the guy who's banging, denies any knowledge of the cinema. So basically, the cinema is like when you are having intimate relations with a girl without their consent, you get your hockey buddies to watch from the closet. And then if one of them accidentally laughs because you're doing something funny while you're having intimate relations, then the person who is engaged in the intimate relations, they have to suddenly act very upset. Like, what are you doing, bro? Just to make her feel better, when really he is laughing on the inside. A great family event for all. Then you have the mystery hand. The mystery hand is one of the best kept secrets in the league. This can only be performed while watching your buddies perform a tag team. When you hear a threesome, you quickly and quietly sneak into the room and drop to the ground like a heap of shit. Now, as the girl is getting worked, raise your right hand from under the bed, give it a little stretch to make sure your right hand is working and make sure it's in working order. Now move the hand closer and gently grab any boobies you can find. Careful not to grab a sausage, or this could lead to being dummied. Dummied is like being made fun of. Once you get your rocks off, quickly go back into stealth mode and remove your camo and sneak back out the door. No one knew you were there, and it doesn't make you a bad guy. People are arguing. This sounds like a guidebook to essay. It's like an instruction manual, a step-by-step. But others are saying, is it really? Like this could just be a really bad joke between athletes. Do we think that it's appropriate? Absolutely not. Do you want to hang out with people who use these terms? Absolutely not. But is it really a guidebook? This entire junior hockey Bible comes up, in this case, multiple times because these are the terms that are being used. And then these are the actions that 5 junior hockey pro athletes, ice hockey players, are accused of doing. There are certain parts of this junior hockey Bible that they are accused of committing. And now in 2025, there was recently a trial where 5 pro ice hockey athletes are accused of committing some of the crimes that are directly listed in this junior hockey Bible. They use the same terms that are listed. They're texting using some of the language from the junior hockey Bible. And now everybody is wondering, was this not just an online joke? Is this real, and are people taking notes from this? This is the case of the Hockey Canada scandal, where 5 pro-level athletes have been accused of essaying and gang R-wording a 20-year-old girl after a Hockey Canada gala. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centers. It's a network of SA centers in Ontario that offer information and support services to survivors of violence, including harassment, human trafficking, childhood sexual abuse, and incest. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support our growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com. Today's case involves mentions of potential drugging and gang essay. Please click off and prioritize yourself if these are too much. One big disclaimer before we get started, I want to be very clear that ultimately, in the eyes of Canadian law, these men were acquitted of their charges. Separately and totally unrelated, I want to note that there are cases like O.J. Simpson and Sean Diddy Combs where they too have been acquitted of some, if not of all, of their charges. And my point being with that is healthy suspicion is not illegal. Having a personal opinion on someone's morality or how you think a case should have played out in the court system is not illegal, nor is it defamatory. But just to be very clear, we are going to use the word alleged. We are going to use words that are legally more in line with the court's judgment, but that does not reflect how we personally feel. It's just a way of making sure that this episode is okay. So with that in mind, let's get started. It's really hard being a juror. That's what everyone says. And in Canada, I think you only get paid like $40 a day to be on a jury. I believe it's the same in a lot of states in the United States. And it's just very stressful, especially if you are a juror on one of the most high-profile cases in Ontario history in recent years, which is the Hockey Canada pro athlete essay scandal. The gang R-wording of a 20-year-old woman, an anonymous victim, who has come forward and said that these 5 multi-millionaire ice hockey players known in the ice hockey world essayed her back in 2018. It's going to be very difficult to be a juror on that panel. And that is the very first day one of the jurors walks in and they state to the judge, something very strange has happened. To give you a lay of the land, this is not like any other trial. I mean, I will say that with some other attorneys, they have many different defense attorneys, but you're talking about 5 accused, 5 men that have been accused, and each of them have 1 or 2 separate attorneys. So you've got like a whole row of 10 defense attorneys, and they're all going to cross-examine the witnesses. They're all going to cross-examine the victim. It's going to be very intense. And one of the jurors comes forward and says, day 1, all they did was go through the Crown's opening statements. So in Canada, they call it the Crown. It's basically the prosecutors, like the feds or, the state. So the Crown, they go through their opening statements. And the juror said, I went to lunch at a nearby restaurant. I was in line trying to get my lunch, and I recognized one of the defense attorneys because, again, in Canada, you have a very specific attire that you wear as a court attorney. And they turn around. I make eye contact, and it was very uncomfortable because jurors, like here, are told you cannot interact with attorneys. You cannot interact with any of the members of the press. You see them, act like they don't exist. We were told, don't even say good morning. Don't even acknowledge a good morning. Don't say good morning. Don't even say sorry if you accidentally bump into them in the elevator. Like, do not interact with them, period. No words, because you don't want anyone to think you're saying something. So don't even say anything. Don't look at them, nothing. And so she's saying it was weird because she looked at me. The defense attorney straight up looks me in the eye, and she mentions along the lines of, that was a lot of head nodding we saw and a lot of head shaking. Because during
crazy.
The Crown's opening statements, I guess they were saying, oh, that's disgusting. I can't believe this happened. Or they're nodding like, yeah, you're right. That's bad. I guess that's what the defense attorney perhaps maybe thought. The juror goes to the judge and is like, I don't know what to do with this information. I'm just saying I think it's highly inappropriate. The defense attorney states that is absolutely not what happened at all. I was in line for lunch and I was talking about a completely unrelated case with one of my colleagues. I turn around and I recognized one of the jurors because, we had just been in court all day. And I said, oop, this is awkward. And then I turned around and that was the extent of our conversation. In absolutely no world would I jeopardize my license to practice just so that I could make a comment such as that was a lot of head nodding. They basically deny that this happened. And the jurors on day 1 are dismissed. All of them dismissed after jury selection. Yes, they go through jury selection all over again. Thankfully, it was just day 1, so it was just the Crown's opening statements. But it gets so suspicious. The second panel of jurors come in, and all of these jurors are predominantly women because when you have a high-profile essay case, that's what's going to happen. You're going to need a lot of women on that panel. You're going to need a lot of women in that jury box for people to feel like maybe this is not rigged. Maybe we can believe in the justice system. And so they've got majority women on the second jury. I believe this first jury were 11 women and 3 men.
Wow.
Yeah, the second one was a little bit more balanced, but still majority women. But one of them comes up, and this is after the victim. Her initials are EM. There's a publication ban. She is an anonymous victim, but I feel like EM is a lot. Maybe I'll call her like Emmy. I don't even know her name, but just M, right? So M, she is on the stand, and she is testifying through a Zoom call. And it's very interesting the way that they do it. So when she sees the camera, everyone is blurred. So she can only see the attorney asking her questions. She cannot see the accused. So that was very nice. But she testifies for 2 days. And this is the prosecutor. They're guiding her through her testimony. And then her cross-examination lasts 7 days. Typically, that is unheard of. You want to keep the cross-examination similar to the actual testimony. Otherwise, it's like, what are we doing? And this 7-day cross-examination is like the most victim-blaming cross-examination that people have said have taken place in the year of 2025. It was absolutely ridiculous, to the point where a lot of members of the press in that courtroom have stated it seemed like the jurors were not enjoying it. It seemed like they thought it was overkill. You might have made some points, but now you're just beating a dead horse. Now you're just traumatizing people. Like, this is not humane. At the end of the victim's 9-day testimony, one of the jurors sends in a note to the judge, and it reads, "Every day when we enter the courtroom, Alex Formentins, one of the accused, 2 attorneys, they observe us." And these are the same attorneys that were accused of being in the lunch line and saying that was a lot of head nodding. Same attorneys. Every day they observe us, whisper to each other, and turn to each other and laugh as if they're discussing our appearance. We think that this is highly unprofessional and unacceptable. After 4 weeks, the second jury is dismissed. And this is when all the defense attorneys say, well, we don't want to put the victim through another brutal cross-examination because, you know, the Crown had to do the opening statements twice, once for the first jury, once for the second jury. But the victim, she testified for 9 days. But if we get a whole new jury in here, she's going to have to go through all of that all over again because they can't just watch pre-recordings. They can't just watch or read the transcripts. She has to testify. So why don't we just have the judge decide the verdict?
During the Diddy's trial, similar situation kind of happened, right? Like Diddy was head nodding, this and that. But judge almost threw the book at them, saying, you better stop that right now. Yes. Otherwise, your right's going to be taken away. But this one, it's the opposite. The judge is punishing the jury. The jury and the victim.
Yes. The judge is saying that her hands were tied because at this point, the defense attorneys are arguing that there is so much negative bias against the defense attorneys that it could reflect into how they are handling the case. The defense attorneys decide, we want the judge to handle this case. The defense attorneys say, you know what? We don't want to put the victim through that again.
Yeah.
We're going to do this with just the judge. And this is very important because a lot of people think, they speculate, this is their personal opinion, that this was all planned. This becomes one of the biggest cases in Canada, and everyone is protesting this trial. People are outside the trial with signs, justice for women. There are people protesting Hockey Canada, the entire organization. There are people, ice hockey fans, who stop watching ice hockey because of this trial. And they think that the panel of citizens are too understanding of sexual trauma. They might be too...
Can you explain, if anyone who doesn't understand, like the difference between jury trial and just...
Yes. Okay. So a jury trial is you are being judged amongst what you would say your peers. You get a group of people that are selected by both the Crown, the prosecutors, and the defense attorneys. They have to agree on the select people, and they will have a unanimous verdict at the end, whether you are guilty or not guilty. Now, these people are not attorneys. These people are not judges. So there is a lot of emotional bias that goes into play. They're told not to have emotional bias. They're told to look at the evidence. But at the same time, they're human. So they're going to have a lot of emotional bias. There's people outside this courthouse protesting Hockey Canada, protesting ice hockey, protesting these athletes. And so they say, it's not because we don't want a jury. In fact, our clients are so disappointed that they're not going to be judged by a panel of their peers. But it's just, we don't want to put the victim through that again. So we want just the judge to decide the verdict. It is their right, technically.
Right. And usually people don't want that.
No, because judges are typically letter of the law. And you're not going to have, judges, it really depends on people don't like it.
They want a jury trial.
Yeah, they want a jury trial.
In this case, they believe it's better for them.
Yes, and this judge at the end will release a 5-hour verdict, 91-page verdict of the most scathing comments anyone has heard about an SA victim in recent time. But this case goes back to 2018. The accused are now like 27, 28, 29. But back when this happened in 2018, they were 19 and 20 years old. And they were part of a junior hockey league. Junior hockey is like 19, 20. This is before you hit NHL. NHL being National Hockey League. That would be like the NBA, the NFL. Before you hit that league, you're in the junior leagues. And this team in Ontario, Canada had just won the World Championship. These are like the best 19, 20-year-olds on ice hockey. Like, playing on ice in the entire globe. They're on a high. This entire win is setting them up for success. The way that they won, the team captain, Dylan Dubé, he says there was 2 minutes left on the clock. It was overtime. They were going up against the Swedes. The Sweden team, known for being cutthroat. They're good. But the problem is they get upset when things aren't going their way. The Swedes get flustered, okay? That team specifically. So they get very angsty, and that's when you need to hit them hard. And so they got 2 minutes left. Dylan Dubé, who is one of the accused, he says, right when I was saying to my teammates, like, we got 2 minutes left on the clock, whoever makes the next shot is winning the world and that is when they freaking score, and they just go crazy. This game specifically was very amped up. It was very hyped. The way that the entire rink was set up, the stadium was set up, the Swedish team, they didn't have a private exit, which they try to do. And so there was a lot of drama of them even exiting after losing the game, where all the Canadians are yelling at them, making fun of them, because, that's like the ice hockey spirit. This game specifically, the goaltender, which is basically the goalkeeper. You know how ice hockey works, right?
Not really.
It's like soccer, but on ice with sticks and pucks. Anyone who watches ice hockey is going to be very infuriated by that type of analogy. But I just want to say, as someone who is not capable of playing any sports because I am so incompetent with my mobility and my coordination skills, it's just the best way to explain it. It's like soccer. On ice, you're skating high speed, but it's also an element of football because you can slam into the other players. You can you're not tackling them to the ground, but you can slam into them so that they get out of your way. It's a very high physical contact sport, and it's very dangerous. But the goaltender who's standing in front of the goal, making sure that the pucks don't go into the goal, because that's how you score points, he ends up stopping 35 pucks that game. He prevents 35.
Yeah, which is very impressive.
Very difficult. And he says after the giant win, it was one of the best days of my life, like the best day ever.
Yeah, it was probably one of the best days of my life.
Very quickly after that, Hockey Canada, which is Canada's biggest hockey organization other than the NHL. They oversee from baby hockey all the way up to the NHL. If you're playing the junior league in Canada, you have interactions with Hockey Canada if you're a good player. All the like boy recruitment centers of like 5-year-olds learning to play hockey, that's usually done by Hockey Canada. You're going to have major league players that are going to come in through Hockey Canada to train these boys, and then they grow up to become, and I say boys because they're like 5. I'm not talking about these 19-year-old boys. I'm talking like 5-year-old boys, right? And every single year they have the Hockey Canada Gala. And all of the Hockey Canadian players are invited to this massive place where they have all these different award ceremonies, and they have MVP of the year. They do all of that stuff, and they have a golf tournament. And that is exactly what takes place in 2018 in London, Ontario, Canada. Some people thought it was happening in London. It's just London, Ontario, and Canada. They have this huge place rented out in London, Ontario, and everybody's gathered there. And this year specifically, it's absolute chaos because Canadians won the World Championship. I mean, there's many Canadian teams, but they won the World Championship. So this is a huge year. And this specific team, they're going all out. They're getting drunk. The drinking age is not 21 in Canada, it's younger. So they're getting drunk. They're getting wasted. Hockey Canada is even providing alcoholic beverages. They're just doing everything. They're away from family. They're staying in a hotel room with their buddies, with their other teammates. Like, they've got 2 dudes in each hotel room. and they're just having an absolute menace of a time. They're going from bar to bar. They're not sleeping. They're not doing anything. This is a time to celebrate. And it's at Jack's bar during this entire gala. So after the gala and Hockey Canada's organized events, the guys decide that they're going to go out to the bars and just get wasted. The next day, all they have is a golf tournament. So a lot of them, they brought their golf clubs, and that's in the hotel room. This is important later. But they're just going to go to Jack's bar, get completely wasted. They're probably going to go out there and tell every girl at the bar that they just won the world championship for ice hockey. Another little piece of context, maybe in America, if you're not from the colder states, if you're like from the South or California, you're like, why would I care if some dude comes up to me and is like, I just won the world championship for ice hockey, right? Ice hockey in Canada, that is their sport. That's like the NFL, the NBA for us. It's huge, it's major. And so they're probably doing all of that. And that is where Em is. Em works in retail. She's 20 years old. And after her shift, all of her coworkers are like, we should go to the bar. We should go to this place called Jack's Bar and just get drunk and have fun. It'll be good. Em goes home. She gets ready and she drinks some seltzers, hard seltzers, like a White Claw. I don't think it was specifically White Claw, but hard seltzers. She gets ready, Ubers to the bar, and she is talking to one of her coworkers that she is just now kind of becoming friends with. They're not really super friendly, like they're not coworker best friends in the sense of they're telling each other everything. It's still awkward. She still feels a little bit uncomfortable. So she's just trying to get drunk at the bar because it makes her socially a little bit more open. And as she's drinking, she says this old guy approaches her. It's very vague. I think that he was just a little bit older. I don't think she's talking about like a 60-year-old man, telling her, hey, you should talk to this guy over here. His name is Michael McLeod. He just won the world championship for the Junior League Ice Hockey World Championship, like the world. He's just a really good guy. Like, just make sure you take care of him. And she says, I think that this guy was just trying to make Mikey sound like a really good person and make it seem like it was someone I felt like I should pursue that night. I don't know, like made it seem like Mikey was someone that you wanted to be around.
Is Mikey the leader again or no?
No, that's Dylan Dubé.
Dylan, yes.
Yeah, so okay. Dylan Dubé is the leader. And I know the names get confusing, but we're going to run down them. But just think like it's even more confusing because they are the only 5 accused. However, there was allegedly anywhere between 10 to 16 players in that hotel room that night. Many of whom testify, many of whom were involved in a group chat that becomes very important later. But it's just complicated. So I think as we progress in the episode, you're just going to realize who is who because it's just hard to, they're just...
I see.
And so she keeps drinking with Mikey and she is picking up a few things. Okay, world championship, junior league ice hockey players. She's kind of assuming that all these other dudes are ice hockey players. She doesn't seem like she's very into ice hockey. She doesn't really care that much. So she's just like, okay, cool. You guys seem like nice people. She keeps drinking and she says, I definitely feel like my inhibitions were lowered the more I drank. I mean, mentally, I just felt all over the place. The dance floor and the music was very loud. It was just very crowded and very chaotic. And I just kind of felt like I was in the mix of it all and I wasn't really feeling aware. In CCTV footage at the bar, you see a lot of the players on the dance floor all circling each other. It's not that they're specifically circling Em, but they're all just gathered together getting crazy drunk, and it just looks like CCTV footage from any other bar. They're all smushed together. It's like if you go to a concert, everyone's jumping up and down screaming. Everybody is like touching each other because you physically don't have space to not touch each other. But at one point, CCTV reflects that one of the other players pulls on Em's ponytail. Whether it was hard, I'm not sure. This footage I couldn't find, but there is allegedly another footage of another player lifting her up off the floor. We don't know what that footage looks like. But she says that she started feeling really claustrophobic and overwhelmed. It just felt like she was getting smushed. I mean, she's 5'4", she is like 130 pounds, and these are 6 feet tall, 200-pound hockey players. They're huge. She's getting overwhelmed. She's getting smushed by a bunch of guys on the dance floor. She remembers that some of the guys would move her hand towards their private areas over their pants, and she says, I did feel a little bit off again, but with just how drunk I was trying not to think anything of it, and I was just going along with it. There's a video that Michael McLeod, who is the main person that she's talking to. So she's introduced to Michael McLeod. She's talking to Michael McLeod, and he films a video of them singing hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. It seems like a crazy party. It seems like a frat party. She says, I'm someone who has a bit of a hard time saying no. I don't like upsetting people, and especially when I'm drunk, I think that really shows. I know if I hadn't been drunk or been in that position, that wouldn't have been something that I would have done. But I felt like it was the drinking. So she's saying, I don't even think that I would have been on the dance floor just with all these hockey players. It was a lot. And then eventually, Michael McLeod asks her, do you want to go back to my hotel with me and we can have intimate relations? So they're kind of under the impression that they're going to go back and engage in activities, Michael McLeod and M. And she says, okay, there is a video of them leaving together. If you see a blurred spot in any of the videos that I'm going to play in the episode, the video episode, it's her. That's M. And so they're leaving the bar together. And when she's walking down the stairs, you kind of see her rest her hands on the wall. It doesn't seem like she's swaying and she's falling down, but it seems like they're walking pretty fast and she's almost caressing the wall, bracing herself. She goes to the Delta Hotel with Michael McLeod. They get a cab, they go to the hotel, they go to room 209, which is Michael McLeod's room that he shares with another player, Alex Formenton. Alex Formenton is still at the bar. So they're alone in room 209 and they have intimate relations on the bed. And she says she's laying there on the bed, fully nude. Her clothes are in the bathroom because she just had intimate relations with Michael McLeod. And she just remembers that right afterwards, he just like retreats and gets on his phone and he's texting a bunch of people, which she thought was weird, but she's not really thinking into it because she's just tired. So she's just laying there for a second trying to catch her breath. And then all of a sudden, the door to the hotel room opens and hockey players walk in. Like 2-3 hockey players walk in and she's completely nude on the bed. So she's shocked, but they're not saying anything. They're not addressing anything. Like she's trying to read the room. Michael McLeod seems like nothing weird is happening. The hockey players are not like, oh my gosh, why are you naked? Ooh, sorry, we should walk out. They just walk in and start talking about hockey. So she's like, okay, maybe they're gonna leave. She walks to the bathroom, and this is where her clothes are, and this is a very big point of contention later. She stays in the bathroom for a minute, and she says, I was just really shocked. And she's saying, I was still so drunk. Like, I'm drunk out of my mind. I'm shocked. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm seeing this. She said, I wasn't expecting that. I felt really uncomfortable. I was already naked, feeling very vulnerable. I didn't really understand why the man that I had left the bar with just, like, left me in that situation. Like, he just, like, brought these guys in. I didn't know where things were going. She says she is in the bathroom, and then when she walks back out, she's still nude. I don't know if she's under the impression that these guys left. Maybe it got quiet. I don't know. But when she walks out, there's even more hockey players inside the room. And she says at this point, she didn't really know what to do. This is not a suite. This is not NHL level money. This is not NBA level pro athlete money yet. These are junior hockey league players. This is a very standard hotel room with 2 twin beds, but it just looks like a cramped little hotel room. And there's like 9 200-pound, 6-foot-tall ice hockey players crowding in that room. They're talking very loudly now, and they're joking with each other, and they're all very familiar with each other. She has no idea who anybody is. She just met Michael McLeod tonight, like 20, 30 minutes ago, and she doesn't know why they're here. And they allegedly turn to her, and they tell her, get on the floor and start self-pleasuring. She says, like, she was trying to passively say no without saying no, and this becomes a whole debate later, but we will get there. She says that she passively tries to say no by saying, well, the floor is very dirty. And she claims that one of them threw a bed sheet onto the floor. And so now at this point, she's drunk. She feels a lot of fear. She doesn't know what they're going to do if she says no. She doesn't know how they're going to react if she just like books it for the hallway. Also, she's naked. So she gets onto the floor and she does what she is told, allegedly. And she says, they just started putting in my face. Like, I was being told to suck it, commands like that. They were also yelling, spit on it, spit on it. And then at one point I started feeling someone spitting on my back as well. I was just watching it all unfold. I didn't know these men at all. I didn't know how they would react if I tried to say no or tried to leave. My mind just kind of shut down, and I let my body do what it thought it needed to do to keep me safe. I didn't know what was going to happen. And they just like kept putting pieces on my face in that moment. She says at some point she turns to Michael, the guy that she came here with, Michael McLeod. And she states that he had gone downstairs to the lobby to grab food, and now he's just laying on the bed shirtless, eating food, watching all of this happen. So this is making her feel even more pressured, even more unsafe, even more fearful and uncomfortable. So she's just doing what they want. She says at this point, she performs oral sex on 3 of the different players. She says that while she's doing this, she's hearing people screaming at her, other commands like suck it, spit on it. She feels someone spit on her back. She said that someone is slapping her butt very hard. At this point, M says she just goes straight into autopilot mode. One thing that sticks out to her is she just keeps hearing one specific comment of like, no phones, put the phones away. And she remembers this because she started feeling panicked in that moment that someone was recording everything that was happening. Eventually, she somehow makes it onto the bed because Michael is one of the 3 guys that she performs oral sex on unwillingly, that she claims, right? And she says this is what she remembers. As she's on the bed on all fours, doing what she does not want to do, multiple people take turns trying to hit her on the butt as hard as possible. She describes it as almost like a competition, and it was really hurting, so she's telling them to stop. And then eventually, she ends up in the restroom with Alex Formenton, who is Michael McLeod's roommate. And she claims that she was raped by Alex Formenton in the bathroom. That he assaulted her and then forced her to perform oral, and then he took a shower. She goes back out into the room and she is very uncomfortable, and she says throughout the night she would try to keep getting up and putting her clothes back on to leave. Like she would grab her clothes, and then one of the players would come over, and she alleges that they would put their arm around her shoulder and not necessarily drag her back into the room, but kind of like guide her back around. And she was so drunk that it was just, she didn't really know what was going on. She didn't feel like she could say no. It felt threatening. It's not just like, are you sure you want to leave? It felt very threatening. Saying things like, come on, we're just having fun. She claims, I was stuck in that room. I didn't really have a clear exit, even if I wanted to leave. I felt like I was just there for their entertainment. She says that she starts feeling sick, wanting to throw up. At one point, she does remember near the end of the night, she was just sobbing, like she was just crying. And then she tried to leave while she was crying, and she recalls one of the players saying, don't let her leave, she's crying. Don't let her leave, she's crying. The problem is, because of her intoxication level, she says there are gaps in her memory, but additionally, it's even rougher because when you are an SA victim, there are naturally gaps in the memory because that's just how your brain works. It doesn't matter if you're a 20-year-old girl or a 50-year-old man or whoever. Your brain tries to protect you by blocking out memories that they think are going to be so traumatizing that you cannot survive, or it will be too traumatic for you to understand them. And so she's saying there's a bunch of gaps in her memory, but she does remember near the end of the night that she was crying, and they would try to stop her and say like, oh, don't let her go, she's crying. And at that point, she also remembers like they were bringing up golf clubs saying, why don't we try to stick one inside of her? There were comments about golf balls of seeing how many she could fit inside of her. And she said that she was feeling very fearful of all of this. Like the energy was intense and chaotic, but in a very scary way. So not in the, I'm going to tie someone down and forcibly R-word them, but like you can imagine the type of energy she's alleging was happening inside that hotel room. Eventually, she states that Michael McLeod tells everyone to get out of the room. All the other players, except for Michael McLeod and his roommate Alex Formenton, who is one of the accused that went to the bathroom with her. So Alex went to the bathroom with her. She says that they end up staying, and Michael McLeod goes into the bathroom, and she understood that in order to leave, she was to have intimate relations with him a second time. So the first time that she has intimate relations with Michael McLeod, she says is consensual. But then the second time in that bathroom, she says it was not consensual. So they have intimate relations, and then afterwards, Michael McLeod and Alex Formenton straight up just tell her, like, we have a golf tournament tomorrow, so are you gonna leave? She gets dressed, she leaves, and down the hallway, she realizes that she left her ring in the room. So she knocks on the door to grab her ring, and she says the players look really annoyed. Michael McLeod and Alex Formenton look super pissed off about it. She looks for 15 minutes, and she says that she feels really silly about this whole thing. And this word is very important for later. She says that she just felt silly, so she just left. And as she's leaving, she's bursting into tears. And that night, she's in the bathroom, in the bathtub, just sobbing, swaying back and forth, like swaying, comforting herself, soothing herself. Her mom walks in and is like, you need to tell me what happened. June 19, 2018, London, Ontario police get a call. from M's mom, who states along the lines of, my daughter, she's not telling me what's happened. She's just saying it's all my fault. I found her in the shower, incredibly distraught. I know, like mother's instinct, I know something happened and I know that she did not want this to happen, but she keeps repeating, it's not my fault, but I know something bad has happened. Like, you have to investigate. M's mom's boyfriend at the time had a friend that works for Hockey Canada. So he calls Hockey Canada, because they're getting little bits of information from M now. So she's like, okay, yes, I went to this hotel room with this hockey player named Michael McLeod. And then all of a sudden his teammates came in. So he calls Hockey Canada and is like, hey, this is what happened to my girlfriend's daughter. Like, you guys need to investigate. So now in 2018, there are 2 investigations open. London police investigation into a gang essay and the Hockey Canada investigation into the code of conduct against their players.
After probably about 5 more minutes of oral on hard, she said, like, is anyone gonna bang me? And she was saying, like, is anyone gonna do anything to me, or do I have to do it all? And that's when like a bunch of the guys didn't feel comfortable, getting naked and doing this intercourse in front of people, and most of them had girlfriends at that time. So I volunteered, but I obviously didn't want to do it in front of guys. I found that very awkward and weird. So we both walked into the washroom, and that's where we had intercourse.
Okay. So whose idea? How did you guys decide to go in the washroom? Did you talk about it, or?
Yeah, it was kind of mutual. Like I said, like, I don't really want to do it in front of the guys. So she walked into the washroom, and I followed her after, and that was when we had intercourse.
Okay. And what sexual acts happened in the washroom?
At the start, I just put on the condom and just had intercourse with her. And near the end of the intercourse, I took off the condom and she gave oral sex to finish it.
And what happens after that?
After that, after giving oral sex to Mikey, she was on all fours on the floor of the hotel room, saying, like, is anyone gonna do anything to me? And that's at that point she was playing with herself and saying, like, is anyone gonna bang me? Like, this is embarrassing that you have a naked girl in front of you and a bunch of guys in the room and no one's gonna do anything. And that's when pretty much everyone was still a little iffy of doing anything in front of the guys, because we found it pretty awkward a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point she started to get like a little bit frustrated, saying, like, well, I'm gonna leave and put my clothes on if no one's gonna do anything and stuff like that. She was getting pretty frustrated about how no one was doing anything, and I think she kind of took it personally, as in, like, she's not hot enough that none of the guys were doing anything, when really it was just the guys that had girlfriends and obviously didn't want to do it in front of each other.
So she's kind of getting a bit upset there.
Yeah.
Is it possible that she was upset because she's feeling embarrassed about what was going on?
I think she was embarrassed that no one did anything to her. Like, I think she was maybe embarrassed that she thinks she wasn't hot enough and that no one gave her the attention while she was sitting there naked. But really it was just because everyone had girlfriends and no one found it, like, not awkward to do that in front of people. So
she was kind of leading the way and kind of asking for it. She got on the bed naked and said, okay, who's gonna have sex with me? You guys are pussies. Like, none of you guys want to have sex with me.
Do you get the sense that guys are coming because they know there's a naked girl in the room who's doing sexual favors for people?
I mean, like, I don't know how guys kept showing up. Like,
Are you sending her those messages?
oh,
or?
no, like, I just told the guys I was getting food and there's a girl over there. That's all I said to a few guys.
And for both, the guys are briefly interviewed in 2018. None of these interviews are extensive at all. Michael McLeod just tells the police, the main detective for the London Police Department, I mean, she was the one that told me. She was all like, tell your teammates to come. I want to do stuff with them too. It's a fantasy of mine. He said she was just asking for a lot of crazy things. If it were up to her, she would have had sex with the whole team. Wouldn't be surprised if she asked guys to slap her ass, but I didn't hear it. But I wouldn't be surprised. Which is a very suspicious thing to say, because I guess a lot of netizens online, which I tend to agree with, they're just saying, like, maybe in X-rated movies, maybe in some dark romance novels, but like never really in real life. Not saying it doesn't happen, but it's like a very, very big accusation that would need a lot of factual evidence to back it up, right?
And you're saying the cop hearing that, it's like, makes sense.
Yeah, the cop is like, okay, well, it's a little weird, but you showed me these 2 videos.
You show me these 2 videos?
Michael McLeod is like, sir, I have these 2 videos I need to show you. The first video is filmed at 3:25 a.m., 6 seconds long, from inside the hotel room. You can hear a few guys talking in the background, and then you hear someone asking M, hey, you're okay with this though, right? M responds, yes, yeah. You're okay with this? M wipes her eye with the back of her hand. Now, we don't see these videos, but it doesn't appear that she's crying. But she does wipe her eye with the back of her hand. Yeah, I'm okay with this. It is reported that she is smiling in that video. Then there's a second video that's 12 seconds long from 4:26 a.m. It shows M standing holding a white towel over her body. So this appears to be around the time that she has intimate relations with Michael McLeod that she alleges was non-consensual in the bathroom. And I say
afterwards?
Yes, after, at the very end of the night. And it appears that she's unclothed behind the towel, and you hear Michael in the back saying, say it. M smiles, looks at the camera and says, okay, it was all consensual. Are you recording me? Yeah. Okay, good. It was all consensual. What else? Would you, you're so paranoid. Holy, I enjoyed it. It was fine. It was all consensual. I am so sober. That's why I can't do this right now.
That's why I can't do this right now?
Saying like, I can't really record this video right now, perhaps, I think is maybe what a lot of people thought she was saying. Michael is showing these videos to the police officers, and he's saying, well, I filmed these consent videos because I was worried that something exactly like this would happen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And so, you know, I'm just saying, like, I took these videos because it was such a crazy situation. Like, we've never had a girl that was like, I want to sleep with the whole team, so I didn't want anything like this to happen, so I recorded these 2 videos. This is in 2018. This whole case, nobody finds out about it for 4 years. It gets buried until 2022. Then it goes public, and then the police decide, we're going to go to trial. And so it feels like since 2018 to 2025, they have been trying to bury this. That's just what Canadian netizens feel like, okay? So by the time that the trial comes around, protesters are standing outside with signs that read, believe survivors, justice for survivors. I will say that the 5 accused players, every time that they walk into the courtroom with their attorneys, they just look very smug. And I think that's a personal opinion of mine that a lot of netizens share. I don't know what it is. They just look like, they look smug. People are thinking, though, this is a slam dunk case. Since 2022, when this specific case became public, it triggered a bunch of other Hockey Canada SA cases to get a lot of attention, to get coverage, and people are pissed off. People are pissed off at Hockey Canada, and they want ice hockey culture to shift. They want society to change. They want the justice system to reflect that. This is a slam dunk case. Like, this is... Everyone is on the side of M. That's just what it is, especially when the arrest originally happened, before the whole trial.
When the arrest happened? 2022?
2025. Well, 2024, but the trial starts 2025.
Okay.
But they weren't like in jail, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's like, this is a slam dunk case. And for months, I mean, the trial is just crazy. They let go of 2 different jury pools. And then finally, it's the judge only. And the judge is a woman. She finally comes out with the verdict a few months ago. And it takes 5 hours for her to run through the verdict. She saw the victim testify for 9 days straight. She heard from all the witnesses. And she states in her verdict, people react differently to events. There is no correct or standard way for a complainant to react to a sexual assault. She cites another case, though. I'm mindful of the words, although the slogan, believe the victim, has become popularized of late. It has no place in a criminal trial. To approach a trial with the assumption that the complainant is telling the truth is the equivalent of imposing a presumption of guilt on the person accused of sexual assault and then placing a burden on him to prove his innocence. So at this point, people are feeling a little bit uneasy about what the verdict is going to be. The judge points to multiple things throughout this, and she says, I mean, it's clear that the public wanted a specific verdict. So she is dotting her I's, crossing her T's. She points to this one video, CCTV footage at the bar. She says the complainant states she was so drunk. M testified that she was so drunk that she could not consent, and the players should have known that. Like, she knows that for a fact. However, the judge is like, look at this CCTV footage of her at the bar. At one point, she's leaning onto the bar, and the complainant testified, M testified, it's because she was so drunk that she had to catch her footing. But if you watch further in the CCTV footage, it's her leaning over to tell the bartender that he shorted her on the change. So she's saying, like, if you're that drunk, could you really know that you were shorted on the change? She tried to make it seem like she was so drunk she was leaning on the table because she was drunk, but she was actually trying to get her money back. Ultimately, the judge states, at this point, she chose, and she's talking about the victim in this, she chose to walk into a room full of men while naked. No one directed her to do this, nor did anyone prevent her from going back into the bathroom and then putting her clothes on. No one threatened her or applied any force to her. She made no effort to leave the room. Up until this point, there had been no sexual contact with anyone other than consensually with Mr. McLeod. The complainant provided no satisfactory answer as to why she chose to do this. This is a huge point of the judge's argument on why she doesn't really like M's story. She's saying, to me, it doesn't make sense, because you're saying that you are unclothed in the bed after having consensual relations with Michael McLeod. You're unclothed on the bed. Then these hockey players walk in. You're shocked. You're surprised. You run to the bathroom. The bathroom is where her clothes are. So then she's saying, why didn't you just put on your clothes then in the bathroom? But instead, you walk out of the bathroom unclothed, and then you see more hockey players. And at that point, you could go back into the bathroom and put your clothes on. Or because the bathroom door is right next to the hotel door, it would have been easier for you to like put on your clothes and then run out the door. Like, there's a lot of different ways in which you could have left. This is what the judge is saying. A lot of netizens and a lot of advocates think this is absolutely insane, because they're saying, we thought we are past the time where we are asking victims, why didn't you leave? Because it doesn't really matter. Like, leaving or not leaving does not have anything to do with consent. Like, it's not, they're not tied together. It's actually an essay myth that you should leave because you didn't consent to it. Because there's a reason you didn't consent to it. You might have been scared, so you could be scared to leave. But the judge continues, and these are the reasons that she decides that all 5 pro ice hockey players are going to be acquitted of all charges. This is not the result that anybody was expecting. For years, this case has been amping up and up. There's protesters outside the entire time, with 2 juror panels being dismissed. Everyone thought with a female judge, this is like a slam dunk case. Nobody likes the accused. Nobody cares about them, really. They were like, this sounds crazy. This has been around. This story sounds insane. Like, the consent videos itself make them sound so guilty. And then the way that she testified, everybody thought it was slam dunk. But it wasn't. She says they're not guilty. And courtroom reporters state that you could hear someone saying, yes. One of the players' dad and a separate player's mom are hugging, embracing, and everybody is confused on why the judge seems to hate the victim. She literally states early on in her verdict, I do not find the evidence of M to be either credible or reliable. With respect to the charges before the court, having found that I cannot rely upon the evidence of M, and then considering the evidence in this trial as a whole, I conclude that the Crown cannot meet its onus on any of the counts before me. People thought, I mean, there's got to be something that we're missing. In all of the court dates, like in the trial dates, there's got to be stuff that the judge heard that we did not hear. The judge, in her 91-page verdict, goes on to talk about how the victim, the alleged victim, she was laying in bed, and at one point, Michael McLeod, the man that she came to the hotel with, that she had consensual relations with initially, he asks his teammates, hey, do you want oral sex from this girl? In front of her. The judge is like, she has no reaction. She doesn't freak out. She doesn't say no. So that could be, I mean, like, she has no signal of enthusiasm either, but it's just like the most neutral, she has no reaction to it. Which almost means, is that like implied consent, which is not legally a thing, but, you know, is that what it is? That's one of the factors that the judge likely takes into consideration for this verdict. And it seems like everyone, including the judge, just ignores the fact that the victim was on the stand and she testified that yes, she heard that question. She heard Michael McLeod asking his teammates, hey, do you want a gummer from her? In the Junior Hockey Bible, there is a definition that reads, talk to my mic, chew, gummer, BJ, head wetty, sloppy. Use this saying when you want a broad to give you head. The victim testifies. He said, "Do you want a gummer from her?" I don't know what a gummer is.
Oh.
She had no reaction because she doesn't know what a gummer is.
And the judge is like, you heard him say that.
And you had no reaction. Why didn't you say no? At this point, I was on the same wavelength as a lot of netizens of, I mean, not that it would make it any better, but maybe these athletes are some of the best in the ice hockey league and there is so much privilege and money surrounding them that the NHL is like, no, we need these guys on the ice ASAP. So we're just going to get a acquittal. We're going to get a not guilty verdict. And I thought it was going to be something like that. I started looking into these 5 guys. If you're going to make it to the top of ice hockey, you've got 7 good years in you at the top. I mean, you're probably practicing your whole life, but at the top, 7 years. The top 25% of players will make it maybe 12 years. That's their profitable career. The bottom 75%, maybe only 2 years. It's not even that you age out, but ice hockey is one of the most dangerous contact sports. Injuries are a huge problem. Concussions, knee injuries, chronic conditions, shoulder injuries. Like, it's such a dangerous sport. The NHL is the biggest league of them all. It consists of 32 teams, 25 are based in the US, 7 are Canadian.
Oh, wow.
But I will say, it is a Canadian sport. Almost half of the NHL players are all Canadians that move to the American teams when they get scouted. The average NHL pro earner earns about $5.3 million in contracts for the entirety of their career, which compared to other sports leagues, like compared to the world, it's incredible money. Compared to other sports leagues, it doesn't feel like the most insane salaries.
5.2 million in their entire career.
Yeah.
How,
But that-
like the career, like you said, it could be like 7 years or a few years.
Yeah, but that is the average. A lot of hockey players say they don't even really do it for the money. They say they do it for the Stanley Cup. It's like their Super Bowl. They just want their names etched into the Stanley Cup. And I will say 5 million is the average, but some of the top players, they make 17 million a year. Some of them have made like 161 million total in their career, which even then, I guess it's not comparable to the NFL or the NBA. But I mean, these guys, this is one of the most physically dangerous team sports. You're mixing extreme speed on the ice. You're going like 20, 30 miles per hour in that little ice rink, and you are allowed to have full body collisions. Heavy equipment gets weaponized. The surface of the environment is just like rock solid ice in terms of just colliding with fellow players. Ice hockey is typically even more dangerous than football. American football, which we know CTE is like a big problem, but for ice hockey, if these two guys collide into each other, they fall onto the ice. Football players at least get some give with the grass or the turf. It's a lot more forgiving. It's a little bit more cushy. Solid ice, the head-to-ice collision is probably some of the worst recorded in sports history. The impact of it. It's bad. I mean, to give you a visual, it's like if you were to jump off of your diving board at home, if you have one, and belly flop into the pool water, it's going to hurt. And I say at home because, like, you know, don't picture like the Olympic diving pool. It's going to hurt, but the water is going to give you a little give. That's like turf. That's grass. But imagine you're just doing it to straight concrete. That's what ice hockey feels like. You're lucky if you don't end up with a concussion. Then, you know, the boards surrounding the entire rink that keeps the spectators safe in the stands. It keeps the pucks from going outside the ring. I don't know why I thought it was kind of like an ice skating rink, a recreational ice skating rink where you can slam into it to break and you'll be okay. These are considered passive weapons in the ice rink. They're just made of wood and glass.
Wood and glass?
It's wood and glass, and it's like really thick, unforgiving material. It's not soft, it's not cushiony, there's no give, there's no softness to it when you hit into it, slam into it. If you get slammed into the boards by another player, you have the violent force from one side of the player, and then the opposite side, you hit this just rock solid board. It's like double impact on both sides, creating the perfect synergy for shoulder dislocations, clavicle fractures, pelvic injuries, and ultimately concussions. Even the puck that they use, the little rubber, it's like a vulcanized rubber. It's like 6 ounces, which sounds like it's not that bad. But the speed at which it goes on the ice, it's flying around at 100 miles per hour. Just getting hit by the puck, you can suffer lacerations, fractures, dental injuries. Even the hockey sticks are just giant weapons, just giant mean sticks. If you're smacking someone, you could break someone's finger. You could hit someone on the shoulder and they could dislocate their shoulder. Probably the most dangerous are the skates. They're razor sharp. They can easily slice through protective equipment, clothes, skin, flesh. They're the world's scariest razor blades, and they're really thin. They're about the width of about 2 credit cards stacked together. So it's a very dangerous sport, and not a lot of people make it to the NHL. But a lot of the accused did. Michael McLeod, this is the one that M goes to the hotel room with. He is known as one of the fastest skaters of the 2016 draft class. I will say he's good. People say that he's a very natural leader, and he was with the New Jersey Devils for a very long time. In 2016, Michael McLeod is ranked the 13 in the North American skater category. A lot of sports commentators state that he was one of the most polarizing picks in the NHL during that year.
Why is it polarizing?
He is high risk, high reward, or high risk, no reward. He could place in the top 10 if drafted. He could place in the top 20 if drafted. He's big, he's skilled, he's fast. That's how people describe him. I tried to look into his career highlights, and don't get me wrong, I think a normal person has a lot more control and finesse over their physical body with more stamina and discipline than I do with my body. So this is not me trying to like downplay any of anyone's capabilities on the ice or their ability to play sports that I could never even dream of playing. I don't think that would even serve any purpose. But as somebody who doesn't know ice hockey, I'm just telling you what I saw. Looking for career highlights, I found a few compilation videos of him scoring goals. And I don't know if it's the recent trial in the algorithm. I, interestingly, only got videos of him getting into full-on fistfights on the ice. There's a video of him slip-sliding through the ice, trying to deck this Braden Schneider, another opposing team member, in the face. If you're watching the video episode, he is the one wearing red. They're just punching each other on the ice. Punching each other. They're literally punching each other's helmets off. The referees are just standing off to the side watching. They're almost skating around them, which I thought was so strange, and I had to look into it. It's a thing in ice hockey. I had to look it up because technically, sports, you are under the belief that you are not allowed any sort of physical altercations outside of the parameters of the game. Like football, you can tackle people, but you can't punch them in the face.
You were so confused about this, right?
I was so confused. That results in immediate penalty. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like this was his career highlight. He got into a fight and then he probably got suspended for a little bit. You're allowed a fist fight. The NHL says that it was a regulated fisticuff. A regulated physical assault is okay. There's another clip of Michael where one of his teammates gets thrown down by the other team. It almost seems like he gets slammed and he falls to his knees and his hands support him when he falls to the ice. I don't think that he made strong impact with his head on the ice, but I'm not entirely sure. Instantly, you can see Michael in the corner, gloves are off in like 0.2 seconds. I mean, these players, their reflexes are fast. Gloves are off, and I had to rewatch it multiple times to be like, when did he take off his gloves? It was so instant. Gloves are off. He skates to the person that he thought did his teammate dirty and just starts fist fighting him.
Punching his head.
In mid-game, just like...
Was that guy ready to receive, or
yeah, and
he's
then he
also
starts
fighting
punching
back?
Yeah.
How long did the fight last?
Like a minute. This one was particularly confusing for me because Michael was fighting another guy, and then I think another guy was trying to fight another guy from Michael's team. It was just...
so you can do multiple fights going on at the same time?
Yes, but you cannot have a group fight, and you cannot jump someone.
Only 1v1?
Yes. It has to be a fair fight.
Was it chaotic?
It was so chaotic. And then at one point I was watching another hockey clip where I was watching the goal. I'm like, I gotta see if they get the goal in, like the puck in the goal. And then I just see like 5 people fighting in the back, and I'm like, what's happening right now?
Oh, the game still goes on while they fighting?
Yeah, I think they eventually stop and pause.
Oh, but like while it's happened so quickly,
yes.
Other people are still playing.
Yeah. There's another one where Michael and another guy, both of their heads get slammed into the wall. They like bump into each other and both of them simultaneously bonk their heads into the barrier. It was like a clean shot. That's what a lot of comments were saying. Like this was a very clean, nobody f***ed up type of situation. It was just like everybody happened to be in the wrong place at once. But Michael's gloves are off in a second.
Fighting the guy,
yeah,
the other guy?
And then they're just fighting. And I'm like, hi.
Okay.
And then in another one, it's titled Travis Sanheim Drops the Gloves with Michael McLeod in his first ever career fight. So it's just two of them decking each other in the face, and then the camera pans to all of Travis's teammates because this is his first ever career fight. And they're all banging their sticks on the barrier because they're like, woo!
Chanting.
Like first fight ever, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating sport.
I mean, and I have so much respect for ice hockey considering, well, I don't know about the violence part. I just don't like watching physical violence, but I think it's you have to be very tenacious and agile to play. Like, I could never last. Michael stayed signed with the New Jersey Devils from 2016 to 2023. So he was there for a really long time. It's estimated that he made $4.61 million with the New Jersey Devils. He's actually still going strong with the Devils up until January of 2024. That is when he was granted an indefinite leave of absence because of this trial. Because he is the alleged ringleader of one of the biggest essay cases in ice hockey history of recent years. There have been a lot more previously, but in like the recent past few years. It's alleged that he is the one that facilitates the entire essay for 2 hours long. So he's charged with not just the essay, but he's also charged with instigating it, essentially. Then you have Alex Formenton. He is also known as one of the fastest skaters during his draft pick. He ends up signing with the Ottawa Senators. He signed a 3-year contract for $2.2 million. That's about $750,000 a season. Then he goes on to sign with Switzerland, a Swiss-based team, until he takes a leave of absence for personal reasons. That being, he is also charged with essay against M. He is the one that is accused of having allegedly R-wording M in the bathroom. Carter Hart is probably one of the more successful of the 2018 junior group. He's estimated to have made around $14 million in his career thus far. He was originally signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, and the last contract he signed with the Flyers, it was a 3-year contract for $11.9 million. He's probably the most well-known as well. They say that he has very strong mental training regimen. He says, I'd probably say about 90% of hockey is mental. Confidence is everything. Everything is between your ears. He's the goaltender, like the goalkeeper. He's worked intensely with a sports psychologist to make him an overall more mature player. People have said about him previously, his mental game is in order. He's the type of kid who bounces back from a bad game. He has all the makings. This is what people said before all of this came to light. He is also charged with committing essay against M. He is being named as the one that allegedly made M perform oral on him in front of the other teammates. So he's one of the 3 players that received oral. Then you have Dylan Dubé. He was the team captain at the time. Afterwards, he gets signed with the Calgary Flames for 3 years, coming in at a $2.3 million contract, about $770,000 a year. Then his second contract, he signs a 3-year deal for $6.9 million, making $2.3 million a year. It's estimated that he's probably made a good $10 million in his career so far, until he gets arrested for essay against M. He is also accused as being one of the 3 that received oral from M, and also for being the one that was smacking her. Callan Foote is the last one. They call him Cal Foote. He was one of the top picks in 2017, the draft. His first contract was nearly $1 million a year for 3 years. Then he signs with Tampa Bay Lightning for $1.7 million for 2 years, which is $850,000 a year. Then to the New Jersey Devils, but that was cut short. He was making around $800,000 a year at the Devils, but he takes the indefinite leave for being arrested for essay. Cal is the interesting one in this one, that he was not one of the 3 that received oral. So the one of the 3 that received oral, right, is Michael McLeod, the original guy. And then you have Carter Hart, the goalkeeper. And then you have Dylan Dubé, the team captain. And then you have Alex Formenton, who is the roommate, who is accused of full R-wording her in the bathroom. And then Cal Foote is accused of placing his genitals on her face without her consent by doing the splits. There's a whole argument in the trial of, was he clothed, was he unclothed? People still cannot agree on if he had clothes on or not. And then people cannot agree if this is sexual assault or not. But it is alleged by the victim that he took off his pants, took off his underwear, and then did the splits on top of her face to touch his genitals and private areas on top of her face without her consent. They all say
Like a
it was
party trick?
Yeah, that's exactly what they call it. They all say it's a party trick. that he just does splits as a party trick.
Yeah, then that's SA. If
Yeah.
yeah.
They're saying that he was clothed. She's saying he wasn't clothed. And there's a whole debate. It gets really bad. And there's like a clip of him doing the splits. It's a lot. Yeah, we're going to get into it. So these are the 5 accused. And they're really, I mean, they're great ice hockey players, but I just, their stories don't make sense. And I don't know, nobody's story really makes sense, okay? Like, when Michael first goes to the police because he's called during the investigation, he tells them he has no idea why all of his teammates showed up to his room. Like, they just kept showing up in the droves. Like, about maybe 10 to 16 people are inside of his little hotel room. He doesn't know. He's not the team captain.
I don't know how guys kept showing up. Like,
Were you sending her those messages?
oh,
or-
no, like I just told the guys I was getting food and there's a girl over. That's all I said to a few guys.
He doesn't know. He thinks maybe they knew that he had food. They could just sense it. Maybe they could smell the food from the entire hotel. I don't know. And they could just like sniff it out to be room 209 where Michael McLeod is. He states that maybe he did send a message to some of the guys stating that he had food. He says that he did briefly mention that there was a girl there, but that was it. But he lies. That whole thing is a lie.
Did they pull the text?
It is later discovered, years later, that he texted all of his teammates in a group chat. Anyone want a threesome? Hurry, quick, 209 Mikey. No mention of food. Those are not the only group chats. June 26, 2018. So this is like a week after.
A week after.
They
okay.
are getting word that she's gone to the police, that Hockey Canada is probably looking into it, and they start a new group chat. So instead of the 19 players that are on their original team group chat, this is now 11 players. So these seem like the guys that maybe have an idea of what happened that night. They're in this separate group chat, and the team captain, Dylan Dubé, he starts the messages. There are no criminal charges. It's Hockey Canada Code of Conduct, and they're investigating on what happened that night so it won't happen again. Another teammate by the name of Jake responds, "Could we get in trouble for it or no?" I don't think so. Michael McLeod responds, "We all need to say the same thing if we get interviewed. Can't have different stories or make anything up." This is the thing with the group chats that people hate. The judge says, look at the group chats, take them at face value. They're saying, we just have to tell the truth. Netizens are like, hey, are you dumb or are we dumb?
Yeah.
Because literally it's all, we can't have different stories. We can't make anything up. We all have to be on the same page. Just tell the truth. It's like you just throw in 3 words as insurance, as security, just in case someone goes through these text messages. Another player, the same Jake guy, he responds, "No, boys, like, we didn't need to make anything up. No one did anything wrong. We went to that room to eat. The girl came," which already that timeline is not correct.
Yeah.
She wanted to have sex with all of us. No one did. She gave a few guys head, and then we got out of the room when things
So,
got too crazy.
Does just because of the timeline difference on this guy's statement, he's already lying.
Yeah.
You didn't go eat and then the girl show up. You already started the whole thing lying.
But the most annoying thing about this case is I don't know if I am in a position to say whether or not I agree or disagree with the verdict. I think that legally speaking, it's very complicated because, well, first of all, I don't want to get sued. And then second of all, what we think is moral and what we think is the right verdict versus what is actually viable in a criminal justice system varies vastly. And that is a separate conversation because then we got to change the criminal justice system. But it's just, they might not be aligned because there has to be no reasonable doubt. And the problem with a lot of SA cases is not everything is photographed and logged and evidenced. And a lot of people have trauma and they don't come forward right away or they have gaps in their memory. But one thing I will say is this judge's verdict, what she talks about and what she points out is so infuriating. Like she's giving pick me because all of them, including the victim and all of the accused, have gaps in their memory. But when the guys have gaps in their memory, she says it's very reasonable because they were under the influence, they were intoxicated, and it's been a very long time since 2018. It's 2025 now. But when that applies to the victim, she's like, why are you lying? You're lying. You're uncredible. You're not reliable.
Oh, so their mix-up of timeline, she excuses by...
Gaps of memory and
Wow.
yeah.
What's her name? Do you know her information?
Yeah, I'm scared. But Justice Maria, she was a defense attorney for a very long time. I will say that I looked into it and she has a relatively, like, she's very well respected. And then this verdict, everyone was like, what? Jake then texts again. And Mikey literally has a video of her giving consent. Dylan Dubé, the team leader, is very happy about that, texting back, okay, yeah, we are fine. The boys who did things got consent, so just tell them that and it's fine. Another guy by the name of Brett, he responds, all we have to say is someone brought the girl back to the room. We were all in there ordering food, and then this girl started begging everyone to have sex with her. All we have to say is someone brought the girl back to the room. We were all in there ordering food, and then this girl started begging everyone to have sex with her. I'm just saying, that's not how I would talk if that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Nobody would do it, but then as time went on, she gave 3 guys head. Once things started to get out of hand, we all left and got her out. Jake texts back unsuspiciously, yeah, like boys, that's literally the truth. So Michael McLeod suddenly feels that he needs to share everything, saying, I did have sex with her before everyone came in. You guys know that part, right? Brett responds, she's the one who got naked and started begging everyone. Michael McLeod responds, yeah, what should I say if they ask why I took the videos though? Jake texts, you took the videos because you wanted to make sure nothing bad would happen and cover yourself. Dylan Dubé, the team leader, responds, let's not make her sound like too crazy because if she gets wind of this and then she can get even more angry and we don't need that. So just be good about it, but be with the truth with it. Another player named Maxime writes, the truth is we didn't do anything stupid. We had her consent. We didn't force her to do anything. Michael McLeod is saying, yeah, like it wasn't her that went to the police. It was her mom. No idea why, but she already told me she told the police that she doesn't want to pursue this and it was a mistake. She also texted me saying sorry about all this and that she was in the wrong too. I have those texts saved. Michael McLeod ends up finding M's Instagram and DMing her to not pursue charges. We're going to get into that. And he states, I've got text messages of her saying it was her mom that went to the police. And Carter Hart, the goaltender, probably the most successful one on the ice of the group, he responds, honestly, boys, nobody did anything wrong. Like, we got consent to anything that she did. She was the one begging for guys to bang her. Jake responds 2 hours later, everyone stop talking in here and talk to your agents about this. And that's it. Or it could be attorneys because they all do lawyer up. These group text messages are admitted into evidence. So is the original message of Michael McLeod asking all of his teammates if they want to participate in a threesome in room 209. Hurry, quick. That is also admitted into evidence. And then he goes on to privately text one of the other teammates, I guess like his best friend. He privately texts, do you want a gummer? And that is admitted into evidence. And so by this point, I think these are a lot of the things that the netizens knew about before the trial takes place. And I think this is the reason why everyone's like, yeah, this is very suspicious. And I mean, it's not looking good for the accused. This is already very strange. Additionally, with the 2 consent videos that just feel like, why would you need those videos if you knew that she was actually consenting to it? It's just strange. It's just not normal behavior. However, there's a lot of other things that come up during the trial that make people start flip-flopping. Like there's a lot of bar footage that is entered into evidence where it shows that there are pretty distinct variations in a lot of people's timelines and their testimonies. So for example, M would say that her hand was placed on people's private parts because she just felt very uncomfortable with all of that. When the bar footage is reviewed, she puts her hand on someone else's private parts, on Michael McLeod's private parts. He does not guide her. None of the other teammates guide her to do it. So there are these little discrepancies. And I was really intrigued because I wanted to get the full court transcripts because I was going through all of the press that were in the courtroom. I was going through all the articles and I did get the verdict file that's available online. But I wanted to get the exact court transcripts of like verbatim, word for word, what everybody was saying. Because I remember with the Sean Combs case, a lot of things that were happening in the courtroom, they were not really reflected well in the headlines. It seemed like a lot of the defense attorneys would catch someone in a lie, but it was just like wording. It's not necessarily a lie. It's like they slipped up on one word usage and now they're digging a hole into this word and they're like, why'd you use that word then? And it's just, you get why they did that. It's not that serious, but I thought that was what was the case for this. So we reached out to the court reporters that worked on this case and we were calling a bunch of people. The whole team was super busy on this. And then we got word back because I'm like, if I can just get the transcripts for this trial, we'll be good. Like we could just see exactly what happened. They are $11.25 a page. Each day is probably about 250 to 350 pages. We were probably looking at tens of thousands of dollars, like the high tens of thousands of dollars. Each day was probably like $4,000. That has also been a huge conversation because victims will even have to pay for their own transcripts for their own case.
Really?
Yeah, so I did hear some people talking about that in forums that were talking about this case. We don't have the transcripts, but I do have we found some weird videos. So that will be discussed in part 2, which I'm going to upload tomorrow for the audio listeners. It's going to go up tomorrow. It's going to be very lengthy. There's a lot of different arguments in the courtroom, but just stay tuned and I will see you in the next one.